is Tanya. I'm on the Exco of the National Press Club. And for us, it's very nice to once again welcome OUTA to the National Press Club. And without further ado, let me hand over to Wayne.
Thank you very much, and to the Press Club for arranging the session, and to all the journalists for joining us today. I'm going to start off first of all by asking each of my colleagues here just to introduce themselves, who they represent. One of our colleagues is running late from the Quad Para Association, Joseph Machu, so when he gets here, we'll introduce you to him then. So just from your side.
Peter Conradi from Cliff Decker Hoffman Attorneys.
Cliff Johnston from the South African National Consumer Union.
Well, Mike D from the Justice and Peace Department of the Catholic Bishops' Conference.
Thanks. And I'm Wayne Duvenage, the chairperson of the Opposition to Urban Tolling Alliance. What I will do is just read a statement, and then we can take some questions from there on afterwards. So in April 2012, OUTA interdicted the introduction of e-tolls, and again in January this year, we won the right to have our case heard in the Supreme Court of Appeal. These critical victories ensured that motorists around the country were saved from paying e-tolls, and more importantly, it sets the scene for OUTA's ultimate intention, which is to prevent the introduction of an irrational and an inefficient collection scheme whose costs almost amount to that of the actual GFIP construction cost itself. More recently, the City of Cape Town won their court case against SANRAL, confirming that tolling of our urban freeways is now a national issue, and that SANRAL's approach to this matter requires greater transparency, better engagement, and more public scrutiny, certainly of their research and their facts. Indeed, few campaigns in our new democracy have rallied so many political, labour, religious, business and civil groups around the opposition to one singular issue. OUTA continues to remind the authorities that no one is questioning the need for upgraded freeways or the fact that there are benefits that derive from these upgrades. Nor does OUTA suggest that society is opposed to paying for road upgrades. What remains at the heart of this issue is the lack of constitutional requirements for meaningful public participation and the irrationality of applying an extremely costly, burdensome and inefficient means of revenue collection through e-tolling. The e-toll challenge has also highlighted a number of human rights issues, not least of all for people with mobility impairments, who rely on the goodwill of families, friends, neighbours and their communities to assist them to move around, to get to work, to seek employment. Their situation and quality of life will be seriously compromised by e-tolling, and both government and SANRAL have ignored this vulnerable minority group during the planning of e-tolls. OUTA believes there is still time for the government to rethink this plan and suspend e-tolling, while the best possible solution with the lowest negative impact on road users is found. Amidst a climate of overwhelming public rejection and the continuing legal action, SANRAL appears committed to launching e-tolls some 2 months before the court appeal. Despite SANRAL's utterances that OUTA's current legal action is of no consequence to them, it is of consequence to them, and should the Supreme Court rule in OUTA's favour, their plans for e-tolling could very well be halted. The next step in OUTA's legal case is the Supreme Court of Appeal, and we've recently received notification of the dates, which are set for the 25th and the 26th of September later this year in the Supreme Court in Bloemfontein. Our court papers will now need to be urgently prepared to argue this very winnable case at the second highest court in the land. One of OUTA's biggest challenges to date has been to keep pace with the ongoing legal costs of this complicated case, despite having received reduced rates and a number of hours worked for free by our attorneys. Unlike the fortunate situation that government and SANRAL find themselves in, with endless funds from taxpayers' money to fund their legal costs, OUTA relies purely on the generosity of donations from public and business. To date, OUTA is almost 3 million rand behind in its payments. And as a result of this situation, we have been notified by our attorneys that future appeal costs, legal costs related to the appeal, estimated at slightly over 1 million rand, will have to be paid by the 21st of June if we are to have this important public interest matter represented in the Supreme Court of Appeal. This is a public interest matter, and every rand raised is spent on either the administration or the legal costs of this campaign. The directors and members of OUTA receive no payment for their time and effort put into this case. In this regard, the OUTA extends its sincere appreciation to approximately 240 businesses and 7,780 citizens and families who have raised just over 8.4 million rand towards this case to date. However, we will have come so close and yet be so far from achieving our goal if we are unable to raise the required million rand within the next 3 weeks to give this extremely strong case a chance in the appeal court. With millions of citizens and thousands of businesses having saved significant sums of money over the past year as a result of OUTA's interdict, we contribute to society. We appeal to society to contribute a small part of their savings to OUTA by donating anonymously through our confidential online process on the OUTA website at outa.co.za. By contributing, no matter how small, people and businesses are able to internalize and express their opposition to e-tolls and become active citizens in this matter. Thank you.
Ja.